welcome to the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world show made for the fans by a fan. I am your host as always, Richard Tiemann, and this is the award-winning Fan Show. Thank you. You are too kind. And of course, you are the people of Fan Nation. Everyone's a fan of something, and we have something for every fan. Unless you're a fan of man buns. I've noticed a lot of those lately, not just at Comic-Con for like cosplay, but it seems like, you know how they say sun's out, guns out? Where apparently it's now sun's out, man buns out. And I don't understand it. I don't get it. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. What is here, and what's about to be there, is the action that we have coming up this weekend. This is our Thursday edition. Sorry it's not live, but we work with what we've got. And there's a few things happening. In fact, happening right now as you're listening to this episode, which is the reason why I couldn't do a live show. All will be revealed in time. But don't worry, until then, we're going to have just as good an episode for you. I do have a special guest tonight. We are going to look ahead at all the action, including, in case you missed it, my episode, my Robotics and Tech Division special, the Battlebots preview with Peter Abrahamson, the man behind the curtain, in the control room, the voice in the ears. It was a fantastic conversation. Hope you all enjoyed that special because tonight we have Battlebots Challenge live from Las Vegas. That will be happening at 11:45 Eastern, 8:45 Pacific. There are 10 bots, 5 matchups, and you are not going to want to miss this. It will be streaming live on Twitch. The usual players are all there. You got Chris and Kenny on the commentary table and Farouk doing the announcing. What more do you need? I mean, let's go over this fight card here for you real quick, folks, because in case you didn't hear me the first time and I said that this is something that you will want to see, here's what's going to be coming up for the first ever live Battlebots Challenge, because it's Battlebots live for the first time, but this is the first Battlebots Challenge is what they're calling it. Your matchups are as follows. Free Shipping versus Bronco, going to be a good one. Bite Force versus Ice Wave. Scorpios versus Chomp. Lockjaw versus Whiplash. A lot of meaning, a lot of history to this fight as far as the captains, Don Hudson and Matty Vasquez. It was Matty V, as Chris Rose likes to call him, that grew up watching and admiring Don Hudson of Lockjaw, and now they face off against each other. This is becoming a beautiful rivalry that I can't get enough of. And then finally, your main event is Witch Doctor versus Tombstone. So if that doesn't get your blood pumping and your gears just moving in sync and your engine revving, all the puns intended, I don't know what will, Fan Nation, because this is robot fighting time. Live on Twitch, June 6th tonight, 8:45 Pacific, 11:45 Eastern. Then tomorrow night, one more sleep, we have the premiere of an all-new season of BattleBots on the Discovery Channel. It is not live, of course. I was there for the tapings, but trust me when I say you're not going to want to miss this. You're just not. It is awesome. The stuff that I saw, which I wish I could spoil for you. Oh, okay, I take that back. I don't wish I could spoil it for you. I simply wish that I could tell you all about it and that I could get you excited for it. But then that would be spoiling it, and that would ruin all the fun. I don't like spoilers. I really don't. So I'm not going to spoil things for you. But tune in, Discovery Channel, set your DVR, set your alarms, download the app. Whatever it is that we do in 2019, that is the 2019 version of Check Your Local Listings. Peter Abrahamson and I had a good chuckle with that. But whatever you do, do it, because you will not want to miss BattleBots. And with Peter being on the show, that kicks off the start of our now weekly Robotics and Tech Division specials, where we will feature a new member of the 2019 BattleBot season, be it crew, production, or bot builder. You'll just have to tune in each week to see, because it's back to business as usual for the Fan Show Robotics and Tech Division, and it's going to be better than ever. Now then, as far as tonight's episode and the rest of the action happening this weekend. Like I said, it is jam-packed. We'll start off first with the National Arena League. Couple of big matches. We have the Columbus Lions visiting the Jacksonville Sharks. That is Saturday, 4 Pacific, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, to be specific. So that one should be a good one. This is shaping up to be a new rivalry, really, between these two. This was the first National Arena League championship. The Sharks would prevail. They would become the first National Arena League champions. Columbus would then go back to the championship to take on the Cobras, and the Cobras would become the second National Arena League champions. So here we are in the third season, and then Cobras will go to New York, the Big Apple, to take on the Streets. That should prove to be a very good game as well. Now, one thing to watch in that one, other than the whole thing, is we have the Cobras at 5-2 and the Streets at 3-3. A win for the Streets would be huge, as that would put them at 4-3, so they're one above 500, and it would drop the Cobras to 5-3. So now they have as many losses as the Streets and only one more game on them. That game happens to be a win. But it certainly does look like the landscape of the NAL as we reach the midway point begins to shift. Jacksonville 5-1, Columbus 2-4. Obviously, not as much of a shakeup could happen there should Columbus be victorious. But every win is a win is a win is a win, and it's one step closer to your ultimate goal, which is the postseason, and then ultimately a shot at a title. So if Columbus can take down the Sharks, then the Sharks would have 2 losses on the season, as many wins as Carolina, if Carolina loses, and 1 fewer loss. But Columbus, now they're 3-4. And they would be tied with Massachusetts, who also 3-4, and the New York Streets, who, if they win, 4-3, so only a game behind, or they could be 3-4 as well. So you have a 3-way tie now for sort of that midsection of the league. But again, you'll have to see. I'm not going to say who I like in this. I think obviously the Sharks at home are a tough team. The Streets at home, also a tough team. Carolina, though, they're playing for something greater than themselves. They're playing a loss of their team. A member of their team was tragically taken from them, Clayton Banner, and so they will be playing for him, played in his honor, his memory. That's a powerful thing in football. Moving on to the AFL, we have the schedule here, the Arena Football League, and that is we have Friday, so tomorrow, the Atlantic City Blackjacks against the Columbus Destroyers. I was going to try to be at this game because it's my man Nick Hague visiting my other man, Craig the Leg Peterson, and I'm hoping that Columbus can make a game out of it. They've had a rough start to the season, but this will be their next home game after they didn't have many. In fact, their first home game was just 2 weeks ago. So now they will have their third home game of the season, so hopefully they can find a rhythm. Atlantic City, though, they're tough. They're tough. And then Saturday, and that is at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Saturday, you got a doubleheader. Sunday, there's a game. So Saturday, there's a game. Sunday, there's a game. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. All 3 days, all 3 games. Saturday, Baltimore Brigade will take on the Albany Empire. That one should be a really good matchup, actually. And then Sunday, you have the Washington Valor taking on the Philadelphia Soul. And that should be another good game as well. Kickoff for those two. The Albany game is at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. And Sunday, Philadelphia Soul, they will kick off at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific. An early afternoon game. Not too bad. And let's hop over to the IFL, right? That's why most of you are here. And June the 6th. So that is Thursday night football. We will have the Nebraska Danger taking on the San Diego Strike Force. Nebraska needs this win to keep its playoff hopes alive because there are 2 spots left, but 3 teams going for it. They are one of those 3 teams. San Diego probably playing for pride at this point. And then Friday, Oh, and that kickoff is going to be 10 Eastern, 9 Central, 7 Pacific. That's a late one. It's a late game. It's a late game if you're on the East Coast. Then Sunday, the 7th. So June the 7th, Friday, the next day. We have the Bismarck Bucks visiting the Quad City Steamwheelers. Again, Quad City needs this win. 2 spots left, 3 teams after them. Quad City wins, they're 1 game closer to being in. Same with Nebraska. However, Nebraska and Quad City, they could both be in. It's Quad City and Tucson or Nebraska and Tucson. Only one of those two can get in. Actually, I think it might be that only Quad City or Tucson will get in. Nebraska might be fine either way. But the kickoff for that is going to be 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. And then on Saturday the 8th, we have a not 1, not 2, but triple header. And that is the Tucson Sugar Skulls visiting the already clinched, the already playoff bound, already hosting a first round bye and a conference championship, Arizona Rattlers. And then, and that is at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Then you have the Green Bay Blizzard visiting the Cedar Rapids River Kings. Already locked in their playoff spot, but now they're playing for a home playoff game. Cedar Rapids, again, probably playing for respect. Tucson, they're going to be hoping that Arizona is resting their starters and that they might possibly get a win. I don't believe it's winning they're in just yet, but they certainly would like to get this win to take a little bit of weight off their shoulders. So Green Bay and Cedar Rapids is your next game, and that is, again, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. And then finally, the game of the week. Ask anybody. Sioux Falls Storm taking on the Iowa Barnstormers for the battle of second place. Winner of this more than likely will get the number 2 seed going into the Indoor Football League postseason. That means a first-round bye. That means hosting a playoff game. That means hosting the conference championship before the United Bowl. So it's a big one. It is a big one. If Sioux Falls wins this, they would hold the tiebreaker as they have already beaten Iowa and Sioux Falls. Iowa wins, then they still only have 1 loss all this season. A tiebreaker doesn't matter because Sioux Falls would then have 3 losses on the season. So there's a lot on the line in this game. And that kickoff is, again, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. And then we have the Spokane Wolfpack is back home for their Military Appreciation Night. That is Saturday, June the 8th. Kickoff is at 6 p.m. Pacific time, and they are hosting the Portland Raiders. And my special guest tonight, Peter McIlroy, is a proud member of the Spokane Wolfpack, and we talk about that. We talk about the new ownership, the new look Wolfpack, and so many other things. So don't forget, folks, before we head into the weekend, make sure that you have liked and followed on all the major social media platforms that the Fan Show is available on. That is Facebook, facebook.com/fanshowofficial. Give us a like, share, and tell all your friends and family about it. We've got great content going on there every week. You can follow us on Twitter at fanshowofficial, and you can follow along on Instagram, The Fan Show. There's a lot of great content on all 3 platforms. Please make sure that you follow or like at least one so that you can be in the loop for all things Fan Nation. Maybe even the Fan Show coming to a city near you. Who knows? And if you can't listen live, which you can't right now because this episode isn't live, but if you can't on our normal days, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, then you can at least subscribe and make sure that you get all the latest episodes delivered right to your mobile phone, or maybe to your desktop or your laptop or your tablet or whatever it is that you listen to podcasts on. Subscribe and get those brand new editions of the Fan Show delivered right there to whatever your favorite streaming service is. And that could be iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. That's right, you heard me correctly. All 4 of those platforms, the Fan Show is available for subscribing and downloading and listening to on demand. And, of course, how could I forget? Spreaker.com/user/The Fan Show, which is where we broadcast to you live when we broadcast live, and where we record all new episodes. So with that, that's my plug, that's my dilly, and also shout out, because there's no headlines today, really. Shout out to Ethan of Dynamite Enterprises. They want to customize your world, so whether it's promotional, marketing, or other, if it's for business, for personal, or maybe for the company office pool, for fantasy football season, for somebody's birthday party, or you just want to show someone that you really appreciate them, they can customize just about anything you want. Awards, t-shirts, hats, beanies, shoes, socks, you name it. They can do it. They can do backdrops, table runners. They can do giant banners. They can do mic flags. They can even do championship belts as well. For belts, though, I'd say go to Undisputed Belts because those are my boys. So check them out, undisputedbelts.com. But for everything else, go and visit dynamiteenterprises.com or reach out to Ethan directly, Ethan at dynamiteenterprises.com, and he will help you customize your world. So here we go. Enjoy my conversation with a member of the Spokane Wolfpack, Peter McIlroy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, joining me now is a man who plays both ways on the football field. That's right, one of those old-school Iron Man football players, a lineman on both the offensive and the defensive side. He is Peter McIlroy. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man.
I'm excited to finally have you on. I'm good. This is your debut, so it's very exciting stuff.
I know. I'm very excited. I've waited a long time.
Yep, and it's been a long ride, too. You're a member of the Spokane Wolfpack, which has not rebranded. It's a new look, a new attitude, is what I've been saying over the last several weeks. And you guys are 2-2 right now. You're back home again after a little bit of a break. By a little bit, I mean about 2 weeks. And you're going to host the Portland Raiders for your military appreciation night. And how you feel knowing that you're going to get back out there on the field after a little bit of a break?
I'm actually pretty happy about it because I finally had 2 weeks to rest up. I don't know if you remember from our Tri-Cities game, but I hyperextended my elbow during the second quarter and ended up having to finish out the game the third quarter after halftime. It's been kind of an issue. So
yeah, your elbow was rather colorful, I remember.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was about a nice big old softball size elbow for a while.
So are you back to 100% now?
Yeah.
That didn't sound confident at all.
Hey, the last couple games we've had, I tape it up, I put on my brace, and I get out there. So I do what I can. 100% or not, I'm still making sure that my team's got someone there.
That's very true, and in the end, that's the important thing. I just love how I asked, and there was a pause, and then you're like, yeah, like that. I mean, look, if you're 75, 80, even 90, that's fine, because I don't know when a player gets injured if you're ever really like 100%. Again, it seems like every time I get the flu or like a nasty cold, I never feel like 100% until like weeks after. Like, it still seems like you have the runny nose and everything, and you're still coughing stuff up. So when it comes to injuries, I expect it's probably very similar, that you never quite feel 100% until you're 100%.
Oh, no. But, I mean, if I tell myself I'm not 100%, I'm going to be worried about my whole side that whole time I'm out there.
Yeah, understandable also. So you guys, 500, and the losses have been one was a very, very close game, and that was the first game of the season. You guys are undefeated at home right now, which one was at the Pine Bowl at Whitworth, and the other was at the Roos Field Inferno out in Cheney, Washington. But you guys have had some road woes. As a player at this level of semi-pro, like, what is it that makes road games so tough?
I think one of the things is getting the people just out there, because other than the Tri-Cities Rage, we're the only team on this side of the state.
Yeah.
Everyone else over there, they got to travel maybe 45 minutes to play the team next to them. So I think really what it comes down to is just, I mean, everyone's got family, they got work, they got to schedule all that. So trying to get out there, I think that's one of the biggest issues a lot of people fall into.
Which I can understand, because, you're absolutely right. You are one of the only teams on this side, because without Wenatchee, there's not really a happy medium team, one that's kind of in between here in this side. There in this side or here in that side. But it can't just be getting there. I feel like because trust me, I made that drive from here to Seattle, Portland, even Boise. When I was touring in a band years ago, and you get to a certain point in the drive. In the car that you're like, we got to stop. Like, I got to get out of this car. I got to move around because you start to go almost stir crazy after about 3 hours in a car. And I know some of you guys travel in like little sedans, and you're a big lineman. You don't have the room to stretch. But I mean, do you have any sort of routine or anything that you do to get yourself loosened up and back in the right frame of mind after you've been cooped up in a car for 5 or 6 hours?
Oof. Well, for me personally, I put my headphones on, man. I mean, the whole way there, I'm already listening to music, but I've got a special playlist I put on. I'll put that on. Do a little walking around, stretching myself, just trying to make sure and get my head ready. Because driving, it's like 4.5 hours to Seattle for most of our games.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean. It gets cooped up in a car, but I don't know. I'm in a weird mindset where when I get there, it's like a switch get flipped, and I am ready to go as best I can. Because I've shown up to a game maybe like 10 minutes to spare before we have kickoff, so I just had to be ready.
Wow. Oh, man, that's risky. But I guess you guys do what you got to do.
It definitely is. Yeah. If I got a couple minutes, I do as much stretching as I can. Not the most advisable thing, obviously, but.
What's the worst team that you've had to travel to? Not like the worst team as far as you playing them. I mean, like from here to wherever they are. What's the one you dread going to by car the most?
Dude. So last year when we were with the Wenatchee team, we had 2 weeks in a row where we had to drive to Portland to play the Portland Raiders, and then, I don't remember which town they're from, but the Pitbulls. So we had to make that drive 2 weeks in a row.
Ouch.
So to me, honestly, having to drive to Portland, it in and of itself is a drive.
Yeah. Portland's, it's the drive that's the length of time is between here to Seattle and here to Boise. Boise's 8 hours, and I'm glad that you guys don't play anyone in Idaho or that far away. But Portland, it's a good 5.5 hour drive, and there's not a straight shot to get to it. You have to go and exit here and exit there. Yeah, it's and
doing that drive 2 weeks in a row. I mean, it's a killer.
Yeah, I can see that being tough.
We stupidly drove back the same night after playing the game both weekends. So that was a bit much.
I imagine so. So for you guys now, you're back home finally after a couple of weeks off, which I know that the schedule had to change a few times because there was a couple of teams that folded up, which I'm surprised that Wenatchee did. You played for them last year, but then you were with the Wolfpack the year before, and I forget how far back your tenure goes, but how many years does this make at this level for you playing football?
For me, this is my third year.
Third year, okay. So it was the Wolfpack,
2 years.
and then the Rams, and now the Wolfpack again. When you met with Demetrius and Dennis, or did you, I guess is the question, because I know that there was a lot of guys, especially the ones that actually went to Wenatchee, that there was some sour tastes left in your guys' mouths as far as the Wolfpack that once was.
Yep. Man, I mean, I've known Demetrius for a couple of years now, just actually through football. I played flag with him over at Merkel in Spokane, and that's how I met Demetrius the first time. And he was supposed to come out with us last year to come play with the Rams, but he got injured himself. And then after the season ended, we heard the Wolfpack. It was their last year. You know, you hear all those little rumors that go on back and forth about, someone else is buying it, this person's buying it. Well, I heard that Demetrius was buying it, so I contacted him. I was like, hey, man, what's going on with this? Are you taking over as ownership? And he was like, I'm looking into it. A couple months go by. It's starting to get a little closer to the season. there's Facebook groups. You see all the other teams talking about their season coming up and this and that, who's joining what teams. Well, I get a message from my buddy Dane saying that, yeah, Demetrius is taking over for the Wolfpack. And to me, I was ecstatic. Demetrius is a solid dude, and with him as ownership, I was pretty ecstatic for that.
Wow.
Because I was questioning if I was going to play another year. I know that we had, if there wasn't a team in Spokane, we were doing the consideration of, like, do we go to Tri-Cities? Do we play for a Seattle team? Because if there's no team here, what do you do?
Yeah.
So, heard Demetrius is doing it. I hit him up. I was like, hey, you got a team going on. Let's do it. I'm ready.
So let me ask you this then, as somebody who's been in, I mean, you're a veteran now, obviously, and you've played for a couple of teams, Spokane and Wenatchee, and now back to Spokane. So one of the biggest problems at any level, NFL, CFL, AFL, semi-pro, doesn't matter. One of the biggest issues is when certain people try to do other people's jobs. We see it in the NFL with Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones trying to make coaching decisions, and we see it at the other levels where owners try to be GM, they try to be coach, coaches try to be GM, they try to be owners. I mean, it's a mess because it's like, do your job and just worry about your role. So when you hear that a guy that you were going to play with one year is now going to be the owner of a team that you've played for before, he's very involved. He's got a great vision and mission statement for this new look Wolfpack. But did you have any concerns? Like, what is it that makes Demetrius and Dennis's ownership different, and what ultimately sold you on them taking over?
Well, I'm going to start with Dennis because I don't know him as well as I do Demetrius, but he's been a pretty genuine dude every time I've talked to him. He listens to players, which is pretty cool. Because, there's some owners out there that you raise your voice to try and be heard, and they just brush right by you because you're not a coach. You're just someone that plays on the team. So, I mean, he's been pretty active in listening what's going on. If there's any issues or, just concerns or questions, he's been there. And then same with Demetrius. I mean, he played with the Rams years back, so he's felt that mentality of team being together and making sure that everyone's heard, that there's not a bunch of I guys or, it's not a me thing. We're a family. So, that's one thing that I knew that was going to be a big drawing, was the fact that Demetrius isn't going to treat this like ownership that's it. He's going to be there. He's going to make sure that if there's something going on, he's going to listen to the players. He's going to listen to the coaching staff. He's going to try and bridge that little bit of gap just so there isn't any animosity between anyone because of,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. It's something that I think was lacking before, and it is now something that you guys have that you didn't have. And for you guys to have faith in this new ownership, knowing that one of them was a former player and that you were going to play with him, and to see these guys put this together. I mean, when I met with Demetrius to talk about my potential role with the team, I grilled him. I'm not going to hold back. I sat down with him and I said, look, I don't want to talk business with you just yet. I want to talk about, what makes you different. And he laid it out there for me. And I was like, wow. I really like what you're saying, but those are words, man. And him following up with me, and then us figuring out what he wanted from me and what I wanted to do with the team. Ultimately, I think it was just his persistence, where before ownership I would present ideas, and then it was just like, oh yeah, that sounds great, and then that's the last you hear about it. So it was a very refreshing feeling.
Oh, yeah, and that's the same as being a player. Like, you bring up an idea, and he genuinely listens to you, and he brings it up. So it's definitely a lot to feel. So, I mean, and he, like I said, he's trying to build that family aspect with the team. It's not just a bunch of 40 other dudes you go suit up with every Saturday. He's trying to build it that even after the season, you're all going to still hang out, go get barbecues,
Yeah.
So... which that's a great factor because, everyone on this team, everyone's got different things going on, and just people coming together already is come a lot way from the first year of playing with the Wolfpack and talking to players from last year. Like, it definitely feels more unified.
Who's your favorite player on the team?
Why you got to put me out like that?
Because I know they're going to listen to this.
Oh, man. Oh, even though he's a big old steamy pile sometimes, I'm going to give one shout-out to my bro Dane for getting me back into football. He's the whole reason I came out 3 years ago. So I'll give a little shout-out to him for that. Man, I don't know. Oh, you just had to put me on the spot like that.
See, I thought you were going to say Olito because he's the pretty one of the group.
Everyone says Olito.
That's
I'm
why
tired
I
of seeing
said
his
it.
smiling face everywhere. Even put some of the ugly guys like me up there.
Put you and Scott Ward out there and just watch the girls flock to the next home game.
Oh, that's what. Oh, in that case, no, we're not the ones for that.
Scott Ward is good though because he's like everybody's grandpa. So it's.
I love Scott. He's such a good dude. He's such a good teammate. He's definitely an old man, but to be honest though, I think one of my favorite players has got to be June. He's one of our other running backs. Yeah,
he's a good guy. He had a really good game in that one against the Tri-City there, that second half. So I'm impressed with his workload already and his effort out there on the field. So that's a good choice. And you've got, I think, several other guys that are now going to text you and call you out once they hear this. And should make for a fun experience.
I got to point June out, though, because, even when things are going bad, he's one of the few players that is still trying to make sure that we're staying together and that we're not beating on each other.
Yeah.
He's always got a good, positive attitude, which, that's something you want. You don't want someone always being negative. You got to have someone there being like, hey, we're good. This game ain't over.
Yeah.
Even just the simplest thing like that.
And I think during the game is when it's most important to make sure that everybody's on the same page. Because you and I talked at Comic-Con, and, there's team meetings, and sometimes the ones that need to hear what's being said are the ones that aren't showing up to the meeting. And at this level, you've got to have that certain level of commitment. And I understand life happens, and it's pay to play, and there's a lot of schedules and a lot of things happening. It's the summer and whatnot, but if you guys want to compete, if this is truly something that you're passionate about, it'll show. You will see who those guys are separate themselves from the rest of the pack, pun intended. But I think you guys have a really good group this year. I really do. It's been very entertaining to watch you guys.
Yeah, I'm really happy with it this year. We had a couple rough games, but the season ain't over yet. We played one of those teams again. That's who we played at EWU's Inferno Field.
Yep.
Came back, made sure that was definitely a statement that the first game was just a fluke. Play the Nighthawks again. I think they're our last home game, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's good to make these mistakes early so that then you're not riding an undefeated season into the postseason, and then all of a sudden you make your first mistake then. That's I've seen a few teams do that, and it's never pretty.
Yep.
Which do you prefer, though, as far as offensive line or defensive line? Which one, if you had to pick?
Oof. Oh, that's an easy one compared to your other one. I love playing defense. I love being able to just slam through a hole and block whoever's trying to come through that way, or just go after that quarterback running in the backfield. Because I'm a huge dude. I'm 6'7", put on cleats, I'm almost 6'8.5".
Yeah.
So it's always fun to bust through a line and see a quarterback's eyes get real wide.
Yeah, the offense, they're watching out for guys. The defense, they're watching for guys. You know, you guys are headhunters, and I love it. I'm very pro defense, and I was glad to hear that in my absence, the defense balled out at Roos Field. Brian Spiller getting himself a trio of interceptions. So good effort by the defense, and I'm glad that you get to have your fill going both ways. But if we have to have somebody for defense, I'm glad that you're the first one to volunteer.
Oh yeah, I mean it's there. When I got injured with Tri-Cities, Cam was the first one up to be like, all right, let's get me in there. You know, Cameron Hubbard. It's good to have people that are like that on both sides, because he was playing defense line that game, but he came and stepped up for offense. So.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate your time being on the show, making your big fan show debut. Long overdue, but I appreciate it nonetheless.
Yeah. Hey, I gotta win this belt somehow. So
yeah,
start somewhere.
Yeah, we
can't let Alito have it every game.
He's the pretty one. You can't let the pretty one have it every time.
I know it's been Alito, it's been Spiller. Time for the Ugo guys to get some.
Oh, fair enough. So they are the Spokane Wolfpack. They are back home this Saturday, June the 8th, and it will be their Military Appreciation Night. Kickoff is 6 p.m. Pacific time, and he is a member of both the offense and the defense, Lineman Peter McIlroy, and I thank you so much for your time. Good sir, you have a great rest of your night.
Hey, thank you as well.
All right, take care now.
You too.
And one more big thank you to Peter McIlroy for having the time to come on the show. Long overdue, but greatly appreciated. And with that, we are going to wrap up our Thursday edition of the Fan Show a little ahead of schedule. It has been a crazy week, and as you guys listen to this, there's stuff going on, and I can't wait to share it with you. So it's going to be a fun weekend, so stay tuned. Make sure that you're following on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Twitter is @FanShowOfficial, Facebook, facebook.com/FanShowOfficial, and the Instagram is simply The Fan Show. Got a lot of great content. Got a YouTube channel, too. So there's some videos up there, including my new video that I made from Comic-Con weekend, The Force Academy, Chapter 1, I guess is what you would call it, when Disney worlds collide. It's a great little ditty that I did. It was a lot of fun. I had a hand in how some of the things happened as far as getting the ball rolling, but the rest played out better than I could have ever expected. And that's the beauty of what these guys do for the Force Academy. So go and check that out. Go and give that a view and a share and whatever you do. And don't forget that you can also subscribe, and that's iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and iHeartRadio. And I am out of here, Fan Nation. So remember, it's not official unless it's Fan Show official. Best of luck to you and yours. Go Niners, and of course, it's all fun and games until you butt fumble. Good night, folks.
Do you remember the time that Mark Sanchez ran into his player's butt? That was funny sports.
Thank you for having me on the show, man. I love the Fan Show.